So a while ago, there was this leak that got many people talking. Apparently there was this Super Metroid Switch skin listed on Nintendo's website that displayed an image of a Switch playing Samus Returns. Now before people jump to conclusions, this is not confirmation that there is proof of a Samus Returns port in the works. The decals have been around for about 2 years now. The image is just a base template that all the other decals use as a display image, and it was probably edited without really much thought cause Samus Returns is the most recent release. But now that the idea of a Switch port is on everyone's mind, why not take this opportunity to really discuss the potential of a Switch port? Not just a normal Switch port, but an enhancement, a definitive edition, the improved version. What could be added or altered to make a Switch port worth it? And that's what the discussion video is going to be about. Things that I would change, add, or remove from Samus Returns to make it better for the Switch. And of course, if you have your own opinions, feel free to tell me in the comment section below, as well as subscribing if you're interested in Metroid content. And without further ado, let's get started. Now, of course, the most obvious change would be the visuals. Samus Returns looks really great on 3DS, but the idea of seeing this game moved over to the Switch with HD visuals would be fantastic. More natural lighting, more detailed models, more lifelike environments. For sure, making the visuals better isn't as simple as just hitting the Make HD button, but with the game looking as solid as the 3DS, it has the potential to look stunning on the Switch, but that's kind of an obvious point to make. Aside from that though, luckily Samus Returns doesn't try to do anything gimmicky with the 3DS elements that many 3DS games used. No gyro controls, 3DS camera, or unnecessary touchscreen usage is used in Samus Returns, so there is no real issue when porting it over to the Switch. Although the bottom screen does play a role as serving as the game's map, weapon select, and inventory, but stuff like that can easily be moved over to the pause menu. A little mini-map can be added to the top right corner for a quick guide without having to pause the game, and weapon selecting can be assigned to the Z buttons to cycle through the options like in Super Metroid. With these little simple ideas, the lack of a bottom screen wouldn't be an issue for the port. But let's be honest, a visual upgrade and some UI optimizations wouldn't be enough to really justify a port. What's something big we can probably change? Well, what about a remixed map? When Ocarina of Time was ported over to the GameCube as the Master Quest edition, the dungeons were all remixed to be much more challenging. So why not do that with Metroid? Expand and mix up the environments of SR3D to make it a much more challenging experience. Shift up the locations of the Metroids, expansion packs, and upgrades. It will give people who already played the game on the 3DS a reason to actually revisit the game cause it's a whole new experience. Although, if I had it my way, have the normal mode and hard mode have the original map from the 3DS, and then have fusion mode use the remixed map to make it more of a challenge, and add an extra incentive to try out the more difficult mode. But I guess an option to select which map you want to use at the start of a new game would be the best way to go. Another idea I had would be maybe add in the original map layout from Metroid 2, The Return of Samus. Samus Returns drastically changed up the map, and that's a good thing, but maybe a more simple map structure would help ease new players into the labyrinths of Metroid, and fans who played the original Game Boy game would get a kick of seeing the original map layout. Having a nice simple easy map, a standard normal map, and a remixed hard map would really add some replayability and accessibility to the game. Also, what about some new game modes? We have normal mode, hard mode, and fusion mode, so why not kick it up one more notch and add in Zero Suit mode? We see the models of Zero Suit Samus in the end results screen of Samus Returns, so why not use those models for gameplay? Similarly to how fusion mode justifies the more harder difficulty by saying the fusion suit is a weaker suit, we can make Zero Suit mode even harder cause Zero Suit Samus has no armor and thus will take immensely more damage. Fans are dying to have Zero Suit Samus playable in some fashion, and I know some people would enjoy the extra challenge. Also, I think it'd be pretty cool to see the Justin Bailey color scheme in action again. The base suit form would be like the blue suit with blonde hair, getting the Vario suit would give you the pink suit and green hair, and maybe the Gravity suit can give you an orange suit with brown hair. That'd be so cool to see. Also, since we're talking about a hypothetical port, it would be a good excuse to fix up some major issues with the game, and I think we can all agree that the lack of enemy variety really hinders the experience of Samus Returns. It's even worse when you remember that the original game had more enemies than the remake, so why not just add in all the old enemies that were cut in the remake? Bring back everything from the Flints to the Needlers to the Septogs to everything in between. I mean, come on, if the Mumbos were able to return for this game, then the Yumbos should too. Wow, Metroid has some weird enemy names. I wouldn't even mind if they had some drastic redesigns or even added in completely new enemies for the game. The lack of enemy types and relying on recolored enemies was a big sour spot of the game, so seeing that fixed for the Switch port would be appreciated. And while on the subject on adding in new enemies, why not add in bosses? It's a shame that Ridley and the Diggernaut were the only new enemies in Samus Returns. I love the Metroids and all the boss fights they bring to the table, but it gets very tiresome fighting the same bosses for the majority of the game. Adding in some cool mini bosses would help shake things up. Add in some new bosses defending some upgrades, just like how Arachnus served as a Spring Ball Guardian. And if you can't think of new enemy designs, maybe use this as an excuse to add in some non-X-Parasite fusion bosses on SR388, like Yakuza or Cirrus. Or maybe even have Samus fight spiritual Chozo robots to acquire the Aeon abilities. Similarly to how she had to fight the Chozo Guardian in Zero Mission for her suit, she can fight the variants of this boss as a trial to prove her worthiness throughout the game. Stuff like this would really shake up the game and make it feel much less repetitive. Another thing we could probably fix is the amiibo functionality. Now, the most controversial thing about this game was the fact that something like Fusion Mode as well as some other art gallery stuff was locked behind amiibos. To fix that, give people an alternative way of unlocking the amiibo content. A hypothetical idea would be have it so that beating normal mode under certain conditions could unlock the 3 galleries, and maybe beating hard mode at 100% would unlock Fusion Mode. But of course, if you do happen to have the amiibos, you can just use the normal function of just beating the game once and using the amiibos to unlock the content. That would be a pretty good compromise. Although when it comes to the reserve tanks, I do feel like those are fine as amiibo exclusive content because they're just reserve tanks and they're not needed in game, so I'm fine with that being locked behind that. And on the subject of amiibos, we do now have a Dark Samus and Ridley amiibo, so maybe make these compatible with the game. I can see the Ridley amiibo making enemies much more aggressive and Dark Samus actually disabling all recharge stations to hinder Samus in her adventure, just like how the Ganondorf amiibo makes the game harder in Twilight Princess. And maybe they can unlock 3D model viewers or cutscene viewers, respectively, after beating the game. One final bit I want to talk about is its lore and story. There really isn't much of a need to expand Samus Returns' story. It's a pretty simple concept of just going on a planet to exterminate some aliens, and that's about it. It's not like Xenoblade Chronicles where there's an entire section of cut content, so there's really no real reason to change anything. Although, if I had it my way again, I would add an extra panel in the intro cutscene mentioning that Samus fought mutated Metroids in her other adventures, and this proves how unstable the species is and why they needed to be eradicated, but that's really unnecessary. Although, I would love it if they added some more Chozo memories. The illustrations told a fascinating story of the X and Metroid's origins and the collapse of SR388's colony, and I want more of that. Maybe we can see the memories of the Zebus Chozo as they monitored and helped out the Chozos of SR388 handle the X-Parasites. Also, that would be a cool excuse to cameo Oldbird or Grey Voice somehow, so that would be amazing. As well as that secret 11th Chozo memory 2B, kind of implying other secret memories like 1A, 1B, 2C, etc. So memories from the Rogue Chozo's perspective would be cool to see. I would love anything that would give us more insight on the Chozo's past and history and intentions. Also, another bit of unnecessary story, I would actually love a secret cutscene placed at the end of the game somehow. My vision is of seeing a transmission play saying that Samus arrived to the Sirius space colony with a strange new alien, and the camera slowly pans out to a healing Ridley leading his forces to raid the space colony, which would smoothly and seamlessly lead to the events of Super Metroid. And I think that would be so amazing. But again, it's unnecessary, but I think it would be cool. So yeah, so those are the things I would change with the Samus Returns port. I will admit though, I may be reaching a bit too far with some of these things. Added enemies and Chozo memories seem like it's reasonable, but Zero Suit mode, new map designs, amiibo functionality, all seem a bit too much of a stretch. And what do you guys think? Do you agree with some of my changes? Do you think you have your own cool ideas? Do you even think a Switch port is worth it or not? Please, feel free to tell me in the comment section below. Also, remember to subscribe if you enjoy this Metroid content, and feel free to check out the video above, which is a spooky theory about how Phantom can be the ghost of Mother Brain. It was supposed to be a Halloween episode, but I'm bad at uploading stuff, so it's mid-November. But I do hope you check it out. With that being said, I'm the Metroid Trainer. Hope you like, favorite, subscribe, and stick around for next time because I'll be seeing you later.